Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Promote, Engage, and Connect Your Community with the CivicLift platform. This is Andy Marola with CCM. I am pleased to be joined today by Evan Dobos of CivicLift, who will present today's webinar on the CivicLift Community Engagement Platform. Please note that attendees will be in listen-only mode throughout the presentation. However, questions may be submitted via the question box on the right-hand side of your screen. We will get to as many questions as time permits. CCM is excited to partner with CivicLift to help our CCM member municipalities connect with residents through CivicLift's online community. CivicLift's resources engage, entertain, and inform while enhancing community conversations, promoting local businesses, and enabling residents to remain updated on everything in town in real time. These advantages, plus a return on investment program that allows municipalities to earn revenue from the platform, make for a win-win opportunity. With that, I'll turn the webinar over to Evan.
Thanks for the intro, Andy, and good morning, everyone. As you said, my name is Evan Dobos. I'm the founder of CivicLift. And thank you for taking the time this morning to join us, and a special thank you to Andy and the team at CCM for hosting the webinar. I'll start with a little background on myself. For the past 10 years or so, I've owned a small web design shop here in Torrington, Connecticut, working on a variety of project types and sizes. And since we were local, we were approached by the mayor at the time, an economic developer, to pitch ideas for a community website for Torrington, as they had recently received a grant for marketing purposes. We were honored and proud to be considered, so we began brainstorming and came up with a list of some very exciting features to include in what we thought would be the perfect community website. And usually our shop would try to find an existing platform to springboard off of, but nothing out there really fit our vision. So we pitched when we pitched to Torrington and they awarded us the project, we decided to build a custom solution from scratch. And halfway through building it, we thought, hey, if we do this right, maybe we could do it for other communities afterwards. So we really poured our hearts into it and went way past the initial scope of the project. So 4 years later from starting that process, we had 5 Connecticut communities utilizing what we now consider as our prototype. So we've had years of experience running these prototypes, and throughout that time we gained a lot of insight as to what worked and what didn't work, and we used what we've learned kind of as a roadmap to completely rebuild the platform. And so we finished the rebuild as of last November, and we're thrilled to introduce CivicLift in its official capacity today. So I believe a lot of these prototypes got so popular so fast because of what I have written out here on the screen. When people love where they live, they create a community of social and economic prosperity. I think people genuinely want to connect with their community, and what fascinates me about that is that before now, towns weren't really given the infrastructure to facilitate and grow a love for one's community. There's infrastructure for education and traffic and utilities, but not really community engagement. So today I will be presenting CivicLift, which is exactly that, a community engagement platform, an infrastructure, so to speak, upon which your residents, businesses, and community stakeholders can build their own social and economic prosperity. So taking a step back, let's take a minute to think about all of the moving parts that make up your community. You have businesses and schools, events, park and rec, city hall. There's a lot. And not only that, they each probably have their own website or Facebook page or articles in the paper. Hopefully they do. Even worse, they may not have any of those things. So here's the problem. It's kind of silly to say it, but we're asking too much of the modern citizen to properly inform themselves. It's not that it's hard, but it is much harder than what they are used to, because the modern citizen expects their content to be delivered to that little device in their pocket, and they won't hunt for it. And because of that, so many of the wonderful things that are happening in your town slip under their radar, and therefore they're not embraced. CivicLift takes all of these moving parts and creates a single cohesive channel that is much easier for the modern citizen to consume and much more in line with how they expect it, online, on their mobile device, and actually based on their personal preferences. So recapping the problems that needed to be solved, residents don't really know where to go for that one single source of community information, and usually that's because it doesn't exist for the community. By allowing information to be hard to find, residents are less engaged as a result, and less engaged residents hinder the economy, which means it's difficult on existing businesses and also difficult to attract new ones to the town. The solution is an infrastructure for community engagement, which we would leverage the existing qualities a town already has. It can then enhance the visibility of these qualities by delivering them on an online and mobile platform. And what I feel is constantly overlooked is it's really important that a community engagement tool fits within the personality of the town. It needs to fit the culture and give adequate control to those who actually live there. That will make it much easier for a community to actually adopt this as their own, and that is what we want. The goal here is to create an environment that serves its own opportunities, because once we've achieved that tipping point, we can expect to see a significant increase in community activity, expect to attract new businesses at the same time as empowering existing ones, and therefore foster deeper connections between community members simply by optimizing the flow of information. So does it work? Well, remember those 5 communities I spoke about, our pilot programs? Of them, we've averaged 68% of the residents becoming users of the site within the first year, which is incredibly high engagement. Using Torrington as an example, since that was our first one, the population there is 35,000 people. We actually had 22 unique users who lived in 22,000 unique users who lived in Torrington. When you count the users from outside of Torrington, we were actually over 45,000 users, unique users. So yes, this platform works very well for community engagement. And how does that happen? I will tell you, it isn't simply just a build it and they will come type of operation. What's included with CivicLift is not just the community site, but also an entire suite of marketing and engagement tools, which I'll show you in a few minutes, as well as ongoing support and strategy and one-on-one involvement with us here at CivicLift. So by no means do we sell you the tools and say, good luck. We actually want a true partnership so that this is a community asset of yours and that we can grow it and to the point where it becomes a household name in your town. We've even designed what we call the strategy sprint, which includes on-site training, engagement workshops, and ongoing engagement advising throughout the year. So CivicLift, we will actually roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty helping you identify the opportunities of your town and then help you leverage CivicLift to make the most of them. So our offering to our customers is essentially the right tools plus the right model plus the final piece that ensures a very important aspect of projects like this, which is sustainability, and that would be the return on investment program. And I'll be getting into that a little bit later in the presentation. So those are the basic business concepts of CivicLift, but I'm sure you would love to see what this thing actually looks like. So we'll get right into that now. And to respect everyone's time and to make sure questions get answered, don't forget you can type your questions into the chat box at any point throughout this webinar, and I will go through them at the end one-on-one. So I will now pull up the demo of the platform. Okay, so this is what our basic layout looks like. you'll see we're just going to pretend that Sampleton is an actual community here in Connecticut, and this is what their homepage looks like. So you'll see at the top here we have kind of an introductory statement. This could be this is really important real estate on the site, so we can have slides, numerous slides. We can have a background video and any sort of attention-grabbing statement that we need to promote at that current time. And below that we have, it's kind of like the Facebook wall or a Twitter feed where it's all of the things that are happening on the site all coming into one kind of digest. So if you think about it, it's kind of like we were kind of inspired by the front page of a newspaper where you have the headlines of articles, and if you were interested in reading more, you could click on it and get the full story. So how this isn't like a newspaper, however, is that the content here is what we call, we consider it hyper-relevant. And what I mean by that is, for instance, this is an event that's showing up, Sidewalk Art Contest. The reason why this is showing up on top right now is that this happens to be happening in 37 minutes. So after this event is over, the system knows to no longer show this event on top. This is a business that just recently opened. This is a blog post that was just recently made. Over time, they become less relevant, so they're not going to show up on top. But since they just happened, it is showing up on top of this page. And so a person can come to this web page and numerous times a day, and they will see what is hyper relevant at that moment in time. And so this is always changing, and I think that's going to help a lot with keeping people interested in coming back to this site even numerous times a day. I feel static websites are really what's going to hinder engagement, so we wanted to make sure that this was ever evolving, constantly updated, real-time feed of what's going on in the town. So if this is the front page of a newspaper, then these sections up at the top here, events, places, and headlines, they're kind of like the sections of what a newspaper would be. By far the most popular one is the events. So this is a traditional standard events calendar that of course has its chronological order. So these are a handful of events that are happening today. As you scroll down, you see some for tomorrow, and it will just continuously scroll into the future as long as there's events uploaded. A user can go over here and jump to any date in the future, say if they're planning traveling there for the weekend, for example. And so each of these events are, it shows the pertinent information, but if you wanted to, if one of these events looked interesting to you, you can click through and actually get to a fully detailed page. So, of course, you have an image, the pertinent information of when it's happening, where it's happening, if there's a cost to it, an event descriptions that can, include all sorts of rich media, location information, and of course, a map of how to get to this actual event. And if you need to contact the organizer, you can do so here. So say a user really liked the sound of this event and was interested in going to it. They might want to click and add it to their event queue. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to show you what that actually means later. So just keep in mind that we've added this event to our queue. So that's the event calendar. Again, constantly updating. It's never going to show an event that already took place. The system knows, based on the timeline, what events are coming up. And the next section here is places. And this is essentially a place of interest / business directory. But I don't anticipate it just being businesses. I can see, we can outline walking trails here. We can come up with a historic sites tour or an art walk and show people geographically where these locations are. If you are a business, then you can submit your business location to this site, and everybody gets a free listing, and this might be what it looks like. So you have the business name, a description, and then the contact info. And you might see that there's smaller map markers and larger ones. I said everybody can submit a free business listing, but we have a revenue generating feature here where a user can opt to upgrade to a premium business listing. And so their information might look like this. So now they have an image in here, they have more detailed information, any events they have coming up are showing up here. But the best part is that they actually get a dedicated page on our site for them to populate with their own information. So they can upload images here, videos, hours of their business, connect their social media. And what I think is especially compelling about this feature is that there's a few small businesses that were in our pilot studies that were actually using this one landing page as their only website. So we made a domain name forwarder. So I think there was a yarn shop, a yarn store that didn't find it necessary or have the means to create a multi-thousand-dollar website for their business, but got a premium business listing on the site, and then we made katesYarnShop.com or whatever her domain name was forward to this landing page. So now if you look at this page, it has everything a business like that would need online. And so she just empowered her business with and saved themselves thousands of dollars a year on this solution. You can see it also, if this business has uploaded events to the calendar, then the system will know that, and they will start listing those events that are coming up at that location right here. And the last section here is headlines, and this is kind of like a hybrid between an announcements blog section, and we usually identify numerous contributors within your community that can create articles here. So samples of what articles might look like is maybe in one town we actually had the mayor and the economic developer writing regular, probably like monthly blog posts on just what's happening in town and from the municipal standpoint. And what's nice is that it gets digested really easily. We can mix that in with, this is a Small Business Saturday post that I think makes a lot of sense for this kind of platform. A business is celebrating 5-year anniversary. These are just examples of the kind of content that you can find on a website like this. And the whole idea is, it's an economic development push. We're keeping people aware of just how many resources and assets there are in their town. And again, by including this into a hyper-relevant website, I think it will keep people's eyes open to what their neighborhood is up to. So when you think of the people who are using the site, obviously we're thinking about residents and business owners in town. What they would end up doing is they can actually create an account with your website and start submitting content to it for free. So if you're a business and you have an event that you want to submit, you would simply go to this submit event form and fill out this online form, hit submit, and then we can moderate it and review it before it goes live on the site. So this is the back end for what it would look like for a standard resident, a standard user of the site to manage and operate their version of CivicLift. So here we have an area on top that says, important announcements. Sampleton Public Schools have closed. So this is kind of like a public service announcement area. We can use this to promote any sort of relevant information at that moment in time. Down here they have activity feeds so they can see the most recent things that have been uploaded to the site, and notifications, for example, if they've liked an event that's coming up and it has been canceled, they'll get notified of that right here. And if you remember, when I was back at that page, I added the event to my event queue. The user actually gets their own private calendar based on the events that they've added to their queue. So I added this beer tour to the queue, and so now you can see that it's showing up here on their list. And so every event that they like on the calendar, they can add it to this queue, and then they can sync that to their personal calendar, which means much less people are going to find an event that they like and miss it simply because they forgot. Now that we're syncing with their own personal calendars, it's a really nice feature to make sure that you remind yourself that you have that coming up. Your events. So this is in the case where the user has submitted her own events, and this is what it would look like for her to manage it. So, so this person went through the form, submitted their own content, and so now it's in the queue to be reviewed. So here you can see that this is a draft that the person has written. This is a event that they've submitted but is not showing up live on the site yet. And then this is a event that they've submitted and it has been approved and is visible on the site. So they can go in at any time and manage their events that they have submitted. And this was one of those moments with our pilot websites that we noticed was a need for our users, because every time they submitted an event and then they had to go and change it, they basically had to come to us and we had to go change it on their behalf. Definitely not a scalable way to utilize the technology, so we built in this feature to allow them to manage and edit their own events and places. So they could submit, say if this was the owner of a restaurant, they could submit it here as well and manage their listing here. And this would be their personal profile where they can actually, connect their social media, teach the system about what they're actually interested in so that they see more relevant content, and basically make their management from here. So that's what it looks like for the standard user. But we have another user type that we refer to as a curator. So it's very dangerous for any website to accept content from its user base. We want to make sure that it's always going to be in the best interest of the town or the community that the site is for. And so we can't just have everybody submitting content and having it go live on the site. I think we all could imagine just how bad that can eventually get. So we have a moderation queue. All of the content that's submitted has to be approved to show up before it goes live on the site. And so we've made another user type that we call the curator. And the curator is somebody, we imagine it's going to be somebody in the town who knows about the town. Perhaps this is someone on staff at City Hall or even a local marketing student who we can train together. And their point is to review all the items that have been submitted on the site and approve them, manage the existing content, but also have promotion tools and marketing tools to help it become adopted by the community. So the first step a curator would do is they would come and look at all the pending events and pending places that have been submitted to the site so that they can get it approved. They would simply look at the list, review the content that's been submitted. We have ways to kind of highlight a blacklist of words or detect malicious code scripts so that nothing bad accidentally gets in the site. We can highlight it very clearly so that the curator could see that, and she can either just approve it and then it goes live on the site, or if it's not good, she can actually deny it and then write a reason for unfortunately, due to the use of restricted language in your post, we must deny your submission. So nothing gets through, nothing goes live on the site unless this trusted curator has deemed it necessary and within the best interest of the town. So when we were managing the 5 pilot websites, it would take us tops 10 to 15 minutes to go through all the submitted content on each site and approve it. We needed to make sure it was going to be a very quick operation, something that we anticipate would be done nearly every day, so it needs to be a very quick operation. So we made the tools very easy to use. So that's approving content that's been submitted to the site. but say you need to manage existing content that's on the site. For instance, if something got through that shouldn't have, or if the event has been canceled and for some reason the person who submitted it is not canceling it, everything that's live on the site we can manage through the management section here. So these are all the upcoming events. These are all the business listings that are showing up on the map. These are all the blog posts that are in the headline section. And here is even all the users of your site. So, sometimes we might need to block a user. We can do so here. So having access to all the content on the site, and we work closely, the business CivicLift, we work closely with our curators and our customer communities so that we can make sure the content on the site is the highest quality it can possibly be, and that management of it is very easy. So I showed you how pending items are approved. I showed you how content is managed on the site, but now we also have a whole suite of these engagement tools that we use, because we want to make sure that we can market this platform and work on what we call community adoption. So the engagement section here includes the welcome banner, and I think we remember this. This was on the home page where we had that one phrase. So a curator can go in here anytime and quickly change what it says, depending on what's very important at that moment in time. I don't know if any of you have ever used MailChimp Contact as an email blast service, but we've piped in directly to that type of technology so that we could be running and generating our own newsletters based on the content that's on our site, and simply email them a nice summary, email our users a nice summary, whoever has opted into that, and we can of course see all the engagement metrics from those newsletters. At the same time, we also share what we call engagement ideas. So we, CivicLift, we see a lot of really cool ideas that other communities are doing, and if it works out really well, we can create what we call a recipe so that we can share with our other communities how a successful campaign was done. For example, if a new business is opening in town, maybe you write a blog post about them, make sure that they have their listing on the map, and make sure that they're in the next email blast. Those are kind of recipes that we can spell out for our curators here, so we're constantly helping our curators with engagement of their own town. And I think that's also another really important factor for when you are trying to get the community to have this be a household name. And of course, we also have plenty of reporting and metrics and insights that we can share. We love sharing this kind of information with, say, the economic development commissions, because it's really compelling when we get to say, look, there was 83 people in downtown who were doing a search for coffee, and the closest place they could find was over 2 miles away. So maybe the next time a coffee shop wants to open up in your town, you can kind of know where to place them. We can generate all sorts of insight on what the town actually likes, and find the highlights and trends and popular content and the power users of the site, and engage with them further to keep nurturing a good thing. So that is how the content is moderated and managed and promoted by the local curator. And again, we work very closely with each of our local curators to help them with successful campaigns. So now I'm going to switch back to the live site real quick. And I'm going to get into a little bit of that third piece of what CivicLift is offering, the return on investment program. We feel like this is a very important aspect of achieving sustainability for these type of websites. I know there's a lot of communities out there who have launched websites being very hopeful. We call it website fatigue. Like, there's so many projects that go on that are online, and again, it's just adding to the list of websites that we expect our customers to visit, and we don't want to be just another one of those. The ROI program, I think, really gets everybody's skin in the game, So our customer communities can actually be involved and benefit from the site's usage. So if you recall on the map here, I mentioned that there's free business listings, and then there's also the premium ones. So the premium ones are obviously a paid upgrade that the user would pay for. Usually our base price for something like this is $250 a year. So again, it comes with that dedicated landing page as well. So if a user pays $250 a year, we also have the ability for site sponsorships. So a business can sponsor the site as a whole, or it can sponsor just the calendar for a month, or however we see fit and whatever applies to the community, we can do that. We can also have traditional ads. So again, this site it has numerous revenue generating features, and so we thought it'd be really compelling. Excuse me, one sec. We thought it would be really compelling to offer an ROI program, because from the ground up, we've built CivicLift so that it becomes an important part of your community. And we want to see those benefits even apply to our customers monetarily. So throughout the platform, as I mentioned, there are numerous revenue generating features. Such as those premium business listings and the sponsorships and advertisements. Well, the profits gained from each of those services are actually shared with our customers. So you, the municipality, we split them 50-50 with you. So the more activity on the site, the more profits there are to share. And that's one of the reasons why CivicLift has marketing specialists on our team, and why we work so closely with the curators, and why we get heavily involved with helping your community's adoption of the platform. Because if you think about it, everyone involved is made a beneficiary if there's this ROI program, and reaps the rewards the more the site gets used. So in this way, CivicLift can actually end up paying for itself, and even when it does, we're not going to stop there. We will continue the 50-50 partnership so that the platform can actually turn a profit for your community. So again, and that's not just there are some strategic business reasons why CivicLift would want to do that as well. If the community knows that, hey, the more the site gets used, the more we benefit, then we're going to have a local voice, probably the municipality, our customer, and saying to their community, hey, this is our official resource, all our chips are in on this, let's use this as the official community resource so that everybody can have a better connectivity to each other. That's going to help not only the community adopt it, it's going to help CivicLift with insights on how communities use these sites, so we can continue improving and making everybody involved, as I said, a beneficiary. So that concludes my presentation. We certainly covered a lot, so I will now take some time to answer any questions you may have. I don't know, Andy, if anybody dove in to ask any questions during my talk so far.
No, I don't see any question, Evan, but it's not unusual. Like 15 minutes from now, there may be some questions. And what I would say to the people listening in, please feel free to contact either Evan directly or myself with your questions or comments. The idea today was to provide this introduction, and also we are recording it so that others who weren't able to attend today can see it at the CCM website. Of course, having said that, there are a couple of questions, so hold on just a sec.
Sure.
Okay, so first question is about cost, the annual cost to the community for the platform.
Right. There's a first year fee, and then there's an ongoing fee. So the first year is $9,500, and then the second year and ever after would be $8,000 a year. So the first year implying that there's a lot more, it's a lot harder to start a campaign than it is to manage it. So as I said, we get very involved with you. Actually, a rollout looks like, we come on site, we do what I guess you can call like an audit of all of the good things that are happening throughout your town, and how we can use CivicLift to leverage it. And then we build the campaigns with you, and so that's part of like the first year service. We also have what we call a content rally. So we will help you reach out to all of your business owners, all of the people in your town, to populate the site before we actually go live with it. We've done breakfast trainings for the Chamber of Commerce, for example, and we showed everybody in the chamber how to upload their business before we go live with the site, so that when we do go live, it is already filled with engaging content about your community. So that's part of the first year. And then every year thereafter, we are managing what's up there. We're also constantly updating our tools and constantly working with our curators to help them with promotion. So that's all part of the service, and that's all inclusive, so no other surprise fees along the way.
Okay, and there were two questions that were basically the same. In terms of the communities that are using CivicLift, is the platform being used in addition to the town's website or the town calendar?
Yes, we don't anticipate that this would ever replace a municipal website. We think those are two very different things. That's more of a source for municipal information, whereas CivicLift is more like a lifestyle platform for the town. So of course, we connect the two closely because the CivicLift site becomes a resource for the town, but it certainly isn't meant to replace it.
Okay, there are two questions that are related. The first is there a way to integrate an e-commerce element into CivicLift? And the sort of part B of the question is retailers are feeling sort of under pressure from online sales. Sites like Shopteek are focused on that. And how does CivicLift connect to such a service?
Yeah, that's a great question. The good thing about CivicLift is that, as I said, we built it from scratch, so we're not relying on any sort of pre-existing platform that is a locked box and what you see is what you get. What's nice is that the developers who have built this are the same developers that are on the team today, so we can add in a lot of custom functionality that might be appropriate for your community, but not necessarily everybody else's. For example, an e-commerce platform. Yeah, and we looked at, I've worked with a lot of those e-commerce platforms, and I guess we could say we would have to take it as it comes, right? Because if there's 50% of the businesses in town are very reliant on e-commerce connectivity, then that would absolutely justify producing that for your town. Other towns might not be that way. So it would be a custom approach that we would take, and maybe the certain businesses in town have online shopping already on their site. Yes, we can integrate that right into their premium business listing page. So they might opt to go for the premium business listing, and that dedicated page that they get might have e-commerce functionality in it. And again, it all connects to the same thing. So that would be hugely advantageous for the business themselves.
Okay, and how long does it take for the initial rollout typically?
Usually, to be honest with you, producing an instance of CivicLift for a community is very quick for us. That was a big part of why we decided to build software, so that we can automate a lot of the build out. What takes longer is booking the meetings. As I said, we do an audit. We will come in and figure out what kind of resources that we can use CivicLift to leverage. If there's certain events that are coming up, maybe we build a campaign around it before we even launch the site so that we're ready to go. And so that takes longer. So I would say if I had to put a weekly time on it, I mean, we could be ready within 4 weeks from, from the green light. We can be ready as early as 4 weeks, but most of that work is, the content rally, populating the site. It's not developing a custom website, which I think, again, gives us a big advantage over projects like these.
Okay, and which communities are currently using CivicLift?
The 5 pilot communities, Torrington I mentioned, Kent, New Milford, New London, and Tolland were each pilot communities that were on the site. However, since we finished the rebuild of our software, we finished that in November, and nobody is on the new platform as of yet, but we are in contract with 2 communities now who have adopted the new platform. So I'm not sure if they'd be comfortable or not with me mentioning who they are publicly, but of course keep your eye on our blog because we'll be talking about it.
Okay, and well, there's one question about what type of security measures are in place.
Yeah, that's a great question too. All of them. Well, we are very, very conscious of security, and what's nice about our site is that you don't have to install anything on our servers. So we don't necessarily have to work with your IT guys and install software on your servers, and that's where a lot of the security issues come into play, because now you're much more responsible for what's on your servers. We are a cloud-hosted web application, and what's neat about our application is technically, if there's 5 communities on our site, on our platform, it's still all in one place, but we filter out by community. So we have one code base to manage and one code base to keep secure. So it'll never be a challenge to keep this secure. We're constantly monitoring it, and we've taken all the procedures and protocols to keep things secure. Even in terms of we have contingency plans. We have plans for backing up content that's been submitted. So we're very much on the ball when it comes to security. Great.
Okay, well, that was the last question that I received. So again, thank you everyone for attending the webinar. We will send you a link to the recording, and that's also going to go up on the CCM website very soon. And thanks very much to Evan for doing the webinar for us, and we look forward to seeing, or at least being in touch with you shortly for the next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.